Well. Breaking news in Tennessee Titans world as the Tennessee Titans appear to be getting ready to hire Mike Borgonzi to be the new general manager of the organization. Mike Borgonzi was one of the candidates who was really much clamored for among fans. Assistant GM of the Kansas City Chiefs, if you've ever heard of them. They've been doing pretty well for themselves here recently. And Mike Borgonzi is apparently getting ready to become the GM of the Tennessee Titans. Now, I am not going to pretend to be a Borgonzi expert. I am not going to sit here and pretend that I am knowledgeable in all things Borgonzi. What I can tell you is this. This is a guy who is well respected and a guy who was being sought after and highly thought of among most organizations, if not all organizations in the NFL. In fact, according to Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, this was the top GM candidate in the NFL in the eyes of a lot of people. So in that regard, it does seem like a good hire for the Tennessee Titans. It's not official yet, but it looks like it's heading that way. So it does look like a good hire, maybe even a great hire for the Tennessee Titans. But I'm going to tell you this. I am approaching this entire situation with cautious optimism. Okay? Cautious optimism. It would be easy for me to get on here today and say, great, we're saved. We're going to win a Super Bowl next year. Mike Borgonzi. I am approaching this with cautious optimism because you want to know what I said after Ran Carthon got hired 2 years ago to be the GM of the Tennessee Titans? I said, yay, this is great. We're saved. Ran Carthon's here. And look at how that turned out. So I am optimistic that things will be good with Mike Borgonzi and that he can come in here and help turn this thing around. But I am approaching it with cautious optimism. I'm not going to get too high, but I'm sure not going to get too low because for all intents and purposes, it looks like a great hire for the Tennessee Titans. But I'm not just going to come on here and declare that everything's fixed because I've done that before and it burned me. So I'm going to use cautious optimism. Mike Borgonzi, obviously, I said this today on my podcast before they hired him, obviously. The thing that would concern me the most when I look at a guy like Mike Borgonzi or Terrence Gray, who was a candidate for this job from the Buffalo Bills, the thing that I am cautious about with guys like this is that they're coming from organizations with generational quarterbacks, Mahomes and Josh Allen. And the only thing about that is it makes me say, okay, are these guys really good at their job or are they just beneficiaries of all-time great quarterback play? Is it just Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are making people look better at their jobs than they actually are? I'm not going to lie. That goes through my mind. But, I mean, the Chiefs, obviously, they have other elements of their team that are great. Other than Patrick Mahomes, their defense has been stout for years. So I think Mike Borgonzi has done a good job there as the assistant GM. Obviously, he hasn't been the GM, so he hasn't totally been in charge there in Kansas City. But like I said, highly respected. This is a guy that I think the other organizations looking for a GM this offseason were the Jets and the Raiders. So you kind of beat them to the punch. And this is a guy who's well respected and a guy that is viewed as one of the top candidates. So now, if this indeed happens and Mike Borgonzi is officially hired as the new GM, the conversation, of course, shifts to the draft. And ultimately, who's got the final say-so? Chad Brinker, Mike Borgonzi, who's making the decisions, and what does this mean for the quarterback situation for the Tennessee Titans? Now, the guy that I thought the Titans were going to hire was John Eric Sullivan, who was, I believe, the vice president of player personnel for the Packers. He had some ties to Chad Brinker. That's who I thought they were going to hire. And if they did, I thought that increased the chances of trading back, taking Abdul Carter, taking Travis Hunter, kind of addressing other needs on the roster to get it set up for a quarterback later. I thought if they hired Sullivan, that would increase the chances of not taking a quarterback in the draft. But now that they've hired Borgonzi, or at least plan to hire Borgonzi, wow, That changes things for me, because if anybody would know how important it is to get the right guy at quarterback, it would be somebody from Kansas City. Okay, because my oh my, did things change for them when they put number 15 in at quarterback. So I tend to believe that Mike Borgonzi is going to want to draft a quarterback with the first overall pick. I tend to believe that it's going to be Cam Ward. As of this moment, we got 3 months to go. A lot can change, but right now, my money would be on Cam Ward as the next quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. The celebration thing that he does, that's my gut feeling, because Cam Ward, don't throw stuff at me, has some similarities to Patrick Mahomes. Don't go crazy. Don't think that's me declaring he's the next Mahomes. But when you look at the off-schedule plays that Cam Ward made in college, when you look at the crazy plays that he made, getting away from guys, extending plays with his legs, keeping his eyes downfield, yeah, of course you're going to watch that and say, well, that's kind of Mahomes-like, having a guy with all of those physical traits to where they can just extend plays and make magic happen. Josh Allen obviously has some of that to him as well. I think Mike Borgonzi is going to be a guy who knows how important that is. I think he's a guy who knows that a good young quarterback coming in and playing well can turn your entire organization around. I think you've you've got a guy in Mike Borgonzi who knows that to be the truth. And so I think it's a good hire, potentially a great hire. But like I said earlier, I'm using cautious optimism, baby. Cautious optimism. I'm not going to get too high on it, because, I've gotten high on hires before that ended up being doo-doo. So I'm going to take it easy. I'm not going to throw a party. I understand people are excited. We'll see. We'll see. In many people's eyes, they hired the right guy. They hired the best guy to some people. We will see. But the reason I'm being cautious is because whenever you get a guy like this from an organization like Kansas City, they've got an all-time generational quarterback. Is Patrick Mahomes making people look better at their job than they are? I don't know if he is or he isn't, but I'm just going to throw that out there. I'm going to be optimistic, but I'm going to be cautious. Let me know what you think in the comments below about Mike Borgonzi becoming the new general manager of the Tennessee Titans. How do you think he's going to work with Chad Brinker? I'm honestly very surprised that John Eric Sullivan wasn't the guy they hired because of his ties to Chad Brinker. But you know what? That's a lot of our complaints about the Titans, is that they just hire their friends. They don't hire the most qualified people. They just hire their buddies. Well, if it is Borgonzi, then that is clearly not what happened here, because I think John Eric Sullivan was probably Chad Brinker's buddy. So we'll see. Mike Borgonzi, new GM of the Tennessee Titans. Let me know what you think. God bless you. Tighten up. Bye.